Kahalo Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Bakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of Will. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. We're going to do a little something different. I'm going to do, I guess, a cover or a commentary to Jimmy Dore. And it's kind of long. It's about 16 minutes. I'm going to try and get to some of the key points or the core points that we want to talk about, but this is basically just about the Esau Edom's division, like internationally and within America, or within Babylon the Great, right? You're starting to see these curses fall upon them now, and they can't get along. Okay, everybody is vying for control, and you see this if you look into history, within the book of Maccabees, and also who the Diadochi are, which are Alexander's 4 generals. Okay, and we'll get to this. We'll get to this in a second. So what we want to do is get a couple scriptures first. I want to front load, some real quick, because the video is kind of long, so this may be longer than my usual. I will try to remember to put like fast forward points in the description box if need be, and if not, if you're just gonna sit back and listen, hey, then I pray, or my prayer is, as always, that you are edified. So we're gonna open with First Maccabees chapter 1. All right, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chedum, had smitten Darius the king of the Persians and the Medes, that reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. And before we even go forward with this, if you look, okay, this is why the Apocrypha is so important, because it talks about, there's that gap in between the Persian in captivity in the regular Bible, or not regular Bible, I guess I should say, in the split part, the conventional Bible that we see here in the blue letter, and the Apocrypha. So the blue, or here with the original, I think, what is it, 66 books or something like that, with the Old Testament and the New. That is not the KJV version, 1611 KJV. You go right from the Persian captivity, where it talks about the rebuilding of the temple under the supervision of the Persian king. I can't remember who it is at the time. And then it just skips to the New Testament, to Roman captivity, and then you get the whole confusion. Well, there isn't one, but the confusion of Greek and Jew. There's neither Greek nor Jew, right? But the importance of the Apocrypha is that it goes into that entire history, even though it's abridged. It gives you some things to understand. So you follow the timeline of Daniel 7, right, where it talks about the 4 beasts, or the 4 kingdoms. Okay, and all right, the first was like a lion. This is Daniel 7:4. First was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and it made a stand upon the feet as a man, and the man's heart was given to it. So there goes your first one. Okay, the second beast was like unto a bear, and it raised up on itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs out of them in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said unto it, arise and devour much flesh. Okay, and then the next one was like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. All right, now there's your Greek captivity, right? There's your tie-in right there. There's your what is it? Your red string, or your red cord that connects the Apocrypha, because these devils like to use the word canon and say that the Apocrypha isn't canon. Only because they weren't given the spirit to understand, 1, and 2, because some that do understand want to be deceptive. All right, leopard. Okay, and then now your 4th beast. After this, I saw in the night vision, behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, strong and exceedingly, and it had a great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, right? So here is the forming. This is the Roman Empire, and remember that beast, that deadly beast had a wound and was healed, and that revival, the healing of the wound, is America. America is Rome 2.0. America is spiritually Egypt. It is spiritually Sodom, but especially it is Rome 2.0. Especially because it is the horde that rides on the back of the beast, and the beast is the system of NATO and EU. And I'm being brief with this, but I will make a note to link Daniel 7 or link, America's Rome 2.0, things like that. I will link videos that have been done. They have been done extensively to ad infinitum, ad nauseum. There are videos of this. So if you don't know and you need an exhaustive breakdown of it, I'll look in the description box. I will put those videos in there for you. All right. So now let's go back. We see that leopard, which is Alexander, okay, and now we are reading that here. All right, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and he went to the ends of the earth, took spoils many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up, okay. All right, after he did what he needed to do, he fell sick, perceived that he should die, where he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. All right. After his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So when you see Job 9 and 24 saying the earth was being given into the hand of the wicked, okay, we'll just go. I always quote it. I never go. But we're going to get them all. I got some time today, baby. Then again called the man that was blind and said unto him, God, oh wait, that's John, not Job. Job. There we go. I knew that looked off. 9 and 24, straight to the point. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Okay, and there's also extensive and exhaustive breakdowns of who the wicked is and how they covered the faces of the judges. It wasn't just the falsifying of the images of the Messiah and the prophets, but it was that they covered up righteous ways, and basically they looked at the Lord and said, "You're not doing this right. We can do it better." So there was that medical renaissance. There was a complete overhaul of things that were done correctly, and then they just came in and did what they wanted to do, which is why the earth started to fall apart almost instantly. Okay, as they took over places like Chicago in its early inception, when they took it over. The river, that Chicago River, was so dirty it caught fire. There was a fire on the river because these devils don't know how to respect the land, and it was so dirty they were dumping, all kind of fecal matter and not bathing and just destroy the earth as they always do. Okay, you can look up. I don't remember what year, but just look up like I don't know 18 something. Chicago River caught fire. You can find that on your own. This is the point that we're getting, okay? And then when it says the wicked, all right, let's go to Malachi 1:14 tells you who the wicked is. Wait, I'm sorry, 1 and 4. Malachi 1 and 4. All right, here we go. Whereas Edom saith, see, we are impoverished, but we return and build the desolate places. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call themselves the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation with forever. All right, and you can see this really holds true because all of their plans backfire. Every time they set a trap or a net for Jake or even these other heathen nations, at the end of the day, what they do, the policies that they set, or the leader that they set up, throughout historically, their plan backfires. It works for them in the beginning, and then it ends up biting them in the ass, and that is the doing of the Lord. So call Halal Yahweh Bashim Shai. Alright, so we got a little backstory, okay? So that was 10 minutes on getting who the wicked is and understanding that throughout history, even when they have dominion, they cannot get along. They just infight over and over, and it's the Greek throughout Greek history and throughout Roman history, at each other's throat, control of the known world, and still cannot get along. All right, so here we go. Let's play what we meant to play, and I'm gonna fast. You know what? I'll let you know when I'm gonna pause it. So check your volume. It may be a little loud because my mic is pretty close to the speaker.
Come see us on tour. We're going to be in Baltimore. Think of it, a modestly successful comedian. I thought he was talking about me. Zelensky talked to the United States of America into spending $350 billion. First of all, nobody has to talk America into spending money on a war that couldn't be won. We've been
Absolutely
doing that over and over and over since World War II. Also, so I wouldn't put that on Zelensky. He didn't have to talk us into that. A war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, would never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe.
Oh, beforehand, fair use, fair use, fair use. I make no money from this. This is just for educational purposes only. I do not have a monetized channel. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
And Europe's money is guaranteed, while the United States will get nothing back. Why didn't Sleepy Joe demand equalization, in that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us? We have a big, beautiful ocean separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half the money we send him is missing. He refuses to have elections. First of all, he does. He's very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. Okay, I have to fact check that again. Zelensky didn't play Biden like a fiddle. Anthony Blinken stuck his hand up to Biden's ass and worked him like a puppet.
And let's see. Donor lookup. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, we gotta find the donor. Okay. Money to contributor. Okay. I don't know how to use this site. Let's see. Not the donor. I need who donates. Nah. Let's see. Okay. It doesn't say who. Oh, it does say who. Okay, whatever. I don't know how to use this site, but I think you know where I'm going there. You know, the J double O's, okay, are heavy in Ukraine, and yeah, make the link, okay, just make the link. Understand? Damn it, where we at? Oh, right here. Because I don't know how to use that site, and I also I actually got a flag on my video that I don't even get views on, so I guess I better tread lightly, huh? But the blue and white flag people are there in Ukraine, and they are well within the administration of Biden and of Trump. So we'll leave that where it is.
That's what happened. Okay.
Well, we need to understand something, though. I know you don't want to compete with Zelensky, but you really can't, because he's the only man in the world that can play the piano with his private member. And unless you want to go him one better, I mean, that's your privilege. But no, this guy is a crook. What else is new?
So he calls him a dictator. He calls him a dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast, or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something I'll admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country's shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died, and so it continues. Well, that is all true.
Okay, so we'll pause it there. Now, there's two things. These are talks of peace, but we understand, according to prophecy, that that is not the case. One being one, the least of the flock. Okay, and I told you I said make the connection, follow the money, right? Those people over here in the land right now causing trouble, um, and they are they are in both administrations. I've been in many administrations, right? Pulling strings from behind. And a good book, I always say, you can get, if you have not seen, the tactics are laid out very plainly. It's this book, Against Our Better Judgment. Okay, and it's pretty cheap on, okay, very cheap on Amazon right now, for now at least. Look at that, $6.95. Get it while the getting is good. It lays that out very, very detailed. What am I trying to say? There's a lot of details, and there's names, and there are administrations, and there are certain NGOs, right, non-governmental agencies that they speak of in here that are around till this day. Okay. Shit. What was I? Oh yeah, the least of the flock could draw them out. Okay. Jeremiah 49 and 20, and this is, a letter to the. No, it's not. That's in 50. But here we go. Let's read this. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he taketh against Edom, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their inhabitants desolate with them. And it is. This is one of the letters that Jeremiah thought that the Lord told Jeremiah to get to Babylon and read it to them, have it read to the captives in Babylon. But as you look at the parallels within here, it bounces back and forth between Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon, which is here in present day, and in that current time with the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And you can tell that bounces back and forth because of how it says making it the land of desolation, or how the nation shall shoot her arrows upon her, right? That is not how the Neo-Babylonian Empire fell. It was taken over, right? It was a hostile takeover, but the land and things were preserved. Very interesting how the Bible unfolds as it does. I said that, and then what else? What we need also is it 38? Yeah, it's 38. Okay. Because like I said, they talking peace, right? But peace cannot be. Historically they can't maintain peace, and it's prophesied that that third woe, all the nations would be dragged into that, right? Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine armies, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right, so he's gonna put the hooks in the jaws and drag them back, even though even some of them may want peace. But war is what the hammer of the earth is that is their creative purpose, right? So there is no peace. There will not be peace.
Well, there's something else here that President Trump doesn't say, but is in the background, and we all need to understand it. Ukraine is a metaphor for globalism. And what you're seeing is the globalist war in Washington, Paris, London, these other capitals where the ruling elites have all joined the globalism campaign. In other words, let's create the new utopian world where we all live under one world government, where we're all obedient to whatever world organizations say, whether it's World Health or something else.
Right, and that has always, again, has been that thing. Let us all be one. Let's all just get along. I'm in charge, though. I'm at the top. But let's all get along with me in charge. That is E's thing. That is his MO.
where there are no borders, where there is no national identity, there is no religion, there is no morality. It's whatever we say is right. All of these things are part of the war. And why? Because the globalists saw Russia from the very beginning under Putin as a terrible threat to globalism, because Putin said, we are a Russian Orthodox Christian country. We rest on a foundation that is 1,000 years old. We have a religion, a way of life, an identity as Russians, and we are not going anywhere. And that's what he said. And no one wants to hear that, because look what we have managed to do in Europe. Look what has happened to Germany, France, Italy. I mean, Italy is making a modest recovery thanks to Giorgia Meloni. God bless her. But France, 1 in every 4 adults or 5 adults is a Muslim. And the city of Paris is overrun with non-French.
Right. And just as the indigenous peoples here in America were overrun, just as Jake in so-called Europe or Western Asia were overrun by savages, by the beast men. You are only getting what you dished out. The same way your kingdom it was started, is how it's going to fall. Scary times for E.
The French cannot assimilate all of these people. The Germans can't assimilate them. Britain can't assimilate them. This is a problem. Why are they there?
So
to destroy those societies.
So I'm going to ask you that question you just asked about, because Keir Starmer, I showed a video of him in 2020 who was promoting open borders, and it was saying that immigrants aren't our problem and you're a racist if you think having this
Right.
And then now, just a month or so ago, he came out and demanded answers about this open border policy, as if he wasn't the one pushing it. So it happened not only in the UK, but it happened all over, in France and why? What is that about? Is that just the globalists trying to destabilize countries?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's not just to destabilize them, it's to transform them. In other words, to eradicate national identity, national culture, national language, supplant all of that with this amorphous mass of people who at some point in the future will all live in perfect harmony in the utopian globalist community. And by the way, they'll all be ruled by the globalist ruling elite. And there won't be any more elections that mean anything, because those elections will be rigged. I mean, that's happening in Germany right now. They're keeping the AfD, Alternative for Germany, which they continually describe as far right, which I throw up, and then sometimes I laugh when I hear that, because none of these people ever knew any real communists or real Nazis. These people are moderate people. All they've said is, we think Germany should survive. We think borders should be defended. We think unwanted illegal migrants should be expelled.
Hey, can't argue that. But at one point, you and your people were unwanted illegal migrants. And everywhere you are is stolen land. Everywhere outside of Mount Seir is stolen. And these elite will think that they can play one side against another, okay, in order to fulfill their agenda, right? But the scriptures tell you, we'll go back to Job, that in the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. And make no mistake about it, they are. All right, here Job 20 and 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And when he is about to fill his belly, God, or Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So, once they get this thing established, and they think they can finally rest on their laurels and kick their feet up, boom. Tables getting turned over. food getting thrown all over the place. It'll be done. All right, and that's what we are patiently waiting for.
We want the rule of law. We want a halt to the criminality. Gee, those are really radical ideas, aren't they? Aren't we asking for the same thing?
Well,
This is crazy.
Well, isn't it funny that the mainstream media, the ruling elite in Europe, they're all warning about this extremism from the right wing, the AFD. They're extremists and they're far right. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're currently imprisoning people who speak out against a genocide that's happening in Gaza, while at the same time you're funding legit Nazis in Ukraine, and you're calling somebody else extreme right-wingers?
Yeah, well, these people, I don't like calling them globalists. I do, but I really think they're Bolsheviks. They're like the anarchistic Bolsheviks of 1918 and 1919 who swept into power in the Soviet Union. And they said there are no more Russians, Ukrainians, no more Lithuanians, Latvians, Estonians, no more Kazakhs, no more Uzbeks. We're all Soviet people now. And we're building the new Soviet man. And our first act is to invade Poland and other countries in Europe so that we can Sovietize them and they can become part of the same community. It's too close for comfort. And Starmer is probably one of the best, but not the only examples. We've got them here in our country too.
The best way to get rid of dangerous visceral fat is not keto, it's not carnivore, it's not paleo, and
Yeah, well, so this idea to do this, to flood Europe with immigration and to dilute its population and to create it also creates people fighting each other instead of coming together to fight the globalists, right? So they I always have to remind people, if you're upset at someone lower on the economic ladder than you, pretty good chance you've been manipulated by someone higher on the.
Right. And you see that here too. All right. They bring one side against another, and as the elites come in and swoop and take over, as though once they've fostered the perfect environment for infighting and people at each other's throats. But these Edomites at each other's throats too. There's two things I want to get. I think it's Isaiah 9. Egyptian versus Egyptian. You're gonna see that. Right? Or is it 1 and 9? Damn, what is that? I can't remember where it's at. Let me see. Versus. Where is that at? Bear with me just a second, because I can't remember exactly where it is. It's Isaiah 19, not Isaiah 9. Alright. And I think there's even more on it in the very next chapter in Isaiah 20 as well. Isaiah 19 and 2 here though. And I will set Egyptian against Egyptian. Set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fall in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians I will give over to the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord. Power of or Yahweh of hosts. But that's what you're seeing again here. Babylon the Great here is spiritually Egypt, and you see the infighting. You see them not getting along, and even now you have some with the voice, or they are of the sentiment that it's all of us versus them. But here's the mistake that some of our people will make: that they, 2/3 that are already marked for death will say, yeah, you're right. It is us against them. But if the elites were to dangle a morsel of, we'll just call it white is right, and give them a little bit of their of the blessing that they hijacked, then it will return to normal. You will return to being a nigger and lower than them. Never forget that. Ecclesiasticus tells you, right? 12 and 10 to never trust your enemy. And I think there is also a little bit more in 20, right? No, it's not. Okay, no, it's not. I'm thinking of another chapter.
Economic ladder than you, and that's the game. So that's another, the chaos always favors the establishment, is what I try to remind people, and that's what they're trying to create, chaos. They're trying to dilute cultures, and it seems like a globalist agenda. And
keep in mind,
go ahead.
Keep in mind, Jimmy, the establishment is opposed to the people living in their country. In other words, Starmer's busy at war with the people who are British. He doesn't want to prosecute rape gangs because these rape gangs are constituted from young Pakistani men, sometimes others, but usually that. And they're gang raping English girls, and they line up.
Bam. And that's coming here. And also, what do you think was happening then when these pale devils were invading lands that didn't belong to them? All it is are things coming full circle. Alright? Which is a testament to the reincarnation that is in the scriptures. I forgot to grab one more here. And it's so fitting that I should have opened with it. Okay, so these Pharisees were saying that Yahushua was casting out devils because he has the power of Beelzebub, right? So this is his response here, Matthew 12 and 25. Yahushua, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Now understand, these different countries, Russia, Ukraine, France, especially the so-called European or the Western Asian countries are part of the, revival of that Roman Empire where they were once vassal states, okay? They are all of the same nation, okay? They are all one kingdom, different tribes, same kingdom, just as there are 12 tribes within the nation of Israel. 12 different tribes, each with their own unique identity. No different on the other side, okay? Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And if I, by Beelzebub, cast out the devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. Amen. Yahushua was cutting them boys, man. Every which way, turn them every which way but loose through the spirit. Where we at? There we go. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna let Colonel McGregor finish his thing, and then that's all we really needed to get from that, and we can, that'll be the video.
Up for the opportunity to do this. This is not unique to England. This has happened in Germany. It's happened in Sweden. It's happening in France. And who is the problem? It's the local Frenchman, the local Englishman, the local German. Oh no, shut up! You have to be tolerant. You're immoderate. Oh, you are a racist. Not that this is our country. We live here. We have a culture, a way of life. We have laws. And we didn't say no one could come here. We simply said, if you come here, you must adapt and obey our laws. This is insanity on stilts. So that's why I said these people are Bolsheviks, because the first thing that the communists did was murder millions of their own people, long before they murdered anybody else.
So that's the connection you make between Bolsheviks and globalists, right? That they're enemy of their own people in a way?
Yes, and they want absolute, unquestioned obedience from the population and total control.
And so don't you also think that was part of the reason that France, UK, and the United States overturned Gaddafi in Libya was because Gaddafi always thought that he was safe in a sense because he was the firewall between immigration from Africa into Europe, and he didn't. I don't think he ever expected them that they would want it. And
Well, remember, Gaddafi also warned us collectively in the West and said, if you do not find a way to cultivate economic growth, job creation, production, and other things here in North Africa and the Middle East, you will get this tremendous migration because people will leave and go north. Now, that's what Gaddafi said. So suddenly we get rid of Gaddafi? It is a strange question, isn't it?
Absolutely. Backfiring plans, or maybe it wasn't a backfire. Maybe the backfire didn't come in yet at that time. But Gaddafi also, wanted a unified dollar backed by legitimate currency, not a digital debt note, or should I say, just nothing backing it, just just numbers on the screen. So maybe he just got too big for his britches, and that's why they got rid of him. I mean, that's definitely part of the reason. But who knows, man? These devils going every which way, but upright. And you know what? That's the scripture we'll end on. I didn't even get to the Diadochi, but I'm gonna link this. I'm gonna link that in there. You can read it, and it talks about the infighting. But we'll maybe get that as well. How much time? Let me see. Yeah, I got a little more time. Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, right, spreading his philosophy around and taking over lands and spreading his philosophy, forwarding his beastly ways. All right, to people, nations that don't need it. All right, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay, so let's rewind real quick and talk about the inception of this and how they could not get along. Look at this. Control over the known world and could not get along. Always infighting. Who are the Diadochi of Alexander the Great? Okay, they're his former friends, rival generals who tried to take over Alexander's vast empire following his death. Okay, 323 BC. Successors in Greek. It did not take long for the Diadochi to begin fighting each other for control of the former empire's various territories. The wars of the Diadochis lasted for several decades. Not all the claimants managed to keep control of their territory, but those who did created powerful dynasties which ruled the Hellenistic kingdom. And again, that is where you get that neither Greek nor Jew. Those Greek-speaking Jews were Hellenized, just as you have Hellenized Negroes today who, pledge in these schools or who call themselves red-blooded Americans or who have adopted this culture. The same thing happened to them after decades of not keeping the Sabbath or not being allowed to keep the Sabbath, after decades or centuries of leaving off who you were. Because remember, according to the scriptures, we were supposed to forget who we were, right? But that was fast forward after the Roman Empire. Okay, we were supposed to, forget who we were. Slovakia. And then they thought themselves Greek. Hellenist. Hellenista. Okay, Ptolemy was the first one, close friend. He was one of the most powerful. Immediately after the death of the young ruler, Ptolemy made his move, kidnapping Alexander the Great body and transferring it to Alexandria at Egyptum, or Egypt, where he built the majestic tomb for the legendary conqueror. This was Ptolemy's secured legitimacy for his control over Egypt, establishing the powerful Ptolemaic kingdom. So when you see the lighting up of the later pictures of Egypt where the so-called white people were, this was way after the inception of the Israelites when Joseph went over there, and then our people got established as a nation there. You know, and then fast forward a little bit to the Exodus. This was way after that, okay? Because I know that they try to insert themselves in Egypt because it was somewhat of a, you know, it was a great dynasty or a great kingdom. Okay. Ptolemy expanded his domain, adding Cyprus, Cilicia, Cyrenia, and Judea, right? So Judea was a vassal under the Greek, one of the Greek rulers, and then Judea started getting caught in the middle between these wars. Okay. The famed Library of Alexandria, founded by Ptolemy, quickly became the center of culture and scholarship, right? Which the intellectual powerhouse of the ancient world, which this was a accumulation of already known knowledge that they just adopted. Okay, this was already known. I cannot hone. This knowledge was already accumulated and known, and the research was done well before these devils were even, you know, around to do anything about it. They just adopted it, and that's why they try to say that civilization started with the Greek. But there were plenty of kingdoms, plenty of civilizations, plenty of places with indoor plumbing and functioning societies and universities. And medical universities, all these things were already around way before them. Okay, continued centuries into the Mediterranean. Alright, the Romans annexed the Ptolemaic kingdom in 30 BC. Okay, so that's how Judah became a vassal of Rome. Seleucus, the largest, alright. Seleucus the First, Nicanor, also started his career as one of the generals. Took control of the eastern part, Mesopotamia, through the alliance with Ptolemy. Defeated the strongest of the Diadochi, Antigonus, securing his control over Syria. Most importantly, the talented general diplomat managed to extend his power all the way to India. Okay, look at that. Ancient battle tanks, the mighty elephants. And then you can look at, I believe when you talk about the War of the Maccabees, alright, they had those elephants. Okay, war elephants brought him victory. Okay, century BC. Gradually weakened this, what weakened it? The rise of Parthia, the 2nd century, gradually weakened the Seleucid Empire until the Roman conquest of Syria by the legion of Pompey the Great sealed the fate of Seleucid dynasty. So you see, as they start to assimilate into Rome, Edomites they're still Edomites though. Okay. Antigonus the One-Eyed, oldest, most powerful of all the Diadochi. Asia Minor, alright, what is now fraudulently called the Middle East. Okay, took control over almost all of Alexander's empire. However, Antigonus' military triumphed with his mighty unstoppable army, led the alliance of his rivals. Ptolemy triumph over his mighty and unstoppable army led to the alliance of his rivals, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and Cassander. Alright, so they ganged up on him after he tried to invade the Ptolemaic Empire. And all of this is in the book of Maccabees, okay? Starting around the 6th chapter, I think like chapter 6 through 10 or something like that. You can read it. The first book of Maccabees. Alright, Lysimeus and Cassander, the Diadochi who failed to establish. Alright, for a brief time, son of Macedon, regent king Antipater, controlled Macedon and all of Greece. However, his death in 298 BC, the failure of his 2 brothers to hold the throne, brought an end to the Antipatrid dynasty. Alright, Lysimachus too tried but failed to create a dynasty. His power reached the apex following the Battle of Issus, which, with the addition of Asia Minor. His power based in Thrace, however, following Lysimachus' death in 281. Kingdom collapsed. Okay, so again, if you go into, it's I think maybe 6, where it starts to talk about how they let's see, Let me just make sure so that way I'm not telling you wrong. 444 call, hello, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. Alright, about that time King Antioch was traveling through the high countries. There is a very rich temple where it conveys, let's see. Yeah, so he sought to take the city and spoil it. Okay, so yeah, if you want that extensive history about the Diadochi, alright, you can, I don't want to say extent, this was still abridged, but I think it's like 6 through 8 or 6 through 9 kind of talks about a little bit more detail how this infighting happened and how Judea was caught in the middle of it. Okay, so with that being said, I know this was kind of a bouncy lesson. We kind of went around different things, just getting scriptures as they came, but as again I wanted to hone in and or should I say draw in the point that they cannot get along. There will not be peace between these people because they can't get along. They fought as back then and they're going to fight now. They are at odds with each other. Even the average everyday Joe Smo Edomite, all the way up to the top. And so, as you can see, this is going to continue until the Lord comes and takes down these kingdoms, takes the crowns as is prophesied, and set the earth back into order. Again, pray that you were edified, and if anybody happens to see this and has any questions, please feel free to ask, and I will do my best to remember to place everything that needs to be placed in the description box for further edification. Shalom.